Hello everyone, welcome back to another Gaming Guild Wars 2 video. This video is going to cover the open world questing system, that being the karma events and dynamic questing. And I'll kick this video off by giving you my first impressions of the first comparison you get between the open world questing and the personal story questing. For those of you that don't know, when you start a new character, you start in your character's first story zone. And generally it's very significant. There's stuff happening immediately, and you're an important character. You're made to feel important into the story. Once you finish, for the humans, you're hailed as a hero, and then you get dumped into the open world questing. Now, before I continue, I want to confirm that this video is my first impressions of this, and it is very much my opinion. And my opinion comes from someone who played WoW for several years, and by the end of it, I got very frustrated and very sick of it. Which is why some of you may think that this review or first impressions video, whatever you want to call it, is very biased and may come across as somewhat entitled. But with that said, this is a beta and I'm giving feedback in whatever way I think would make this game better. And the first suggestion I would immediately give to ArenaNet is that they need to revise and go from the ground up with the karma events or heart events. And the reason I say that is because coming from WoW, I don't want a system that's even remotely like WoW, because that form of questing is dying, if not dead. Now, the reason I can compare the karma system to the traditional questing system is because all the karma system does is it compresses all of the variations of the traditional questing system, that being gathering and kill quests. I have not encountered an escort quest in the karma system yet, but who knows? And it compresses them and gives you the choice of doing multiple different jobs to fill up a karma bar, which makes sense. You're doing good deeds, which builds up karma points. Haha. So it's still do so much of a certain set of things to complete the task given to you. Now, this creates a problem later on, which I will address later on in this video. All credit to ArenaNet, though. I gotta say, hearing about Guild Wars 2 and learning about it before this beta weekend, I didn't hear a whole lot about these karma events. What I was picturing was a whole lot of dynamic events and questing and gaining experience and leveling up through those means. This is something that was kind of a surprise to me and was kind of a letdown because it took up so much of the leveling when all I heard about was dynamic events. But maybe that's my own ignorance talking. Now, this would not be a good feedback or review video if I didn't talk about what could make this system better. I do not disagree entirely with how they did the karma system, being that you do things, your karma points go up, and you gain access to rewards by doing these things. However, if I would have done it differently. I would have done it so that you're not going around to all these so-called check boxes, doing the jobs there and gaining the rewards from that. I would have done it so that the karma vendors are centralized. There's one for a given area, and you wander around that area stumbling upon dynamic events. You then do these dynamic events as you come across them, you participate in them, and more importantly, these dynamic events change the world. And the events change. And that is what is important to this MMO. That is what makes this MMO unique, is how they did these dynamic events. And now I'll move on to the dynamic events and why they are so great. Now, I'll cut to a scene here with the first real dynamic event that really stuck out in my mind. What had happened was I was just wandering around, exploring the world, and I came across a dynamic event. These bandits had taken over a farm, and so I decided to help. So there was me and a few other people, and This dynamic event was hard. If you didn't have the right number of people or the right people with the right skills, you would just be fighting an endless wave of bandits and it wouldn't go anywhere. So the challenge there is important because it makes it fun, which the karma events don't. They're boring, they're repetitive, and most often than not, you're spending a lot of time running around looking for something to fill up that karma bar, which is not good. You should not be wandering around just aimlessly, just waiting for something to respawn. That is bad, that is immersion breaking, and at the same time is what makes dynamic events so great. They are not immersion breaking, they are ever changing, ever happening, and you're never just stuck waiting for an extended period of time. You felt like the world is alive. And I'll give you a prime example here. In the middle of this fight, in the middle of this farm, while we're trying to liberate it from these bandits, just out of nowhere this troll appears. And this was the key moment that stuck out in my mind. Is it just happened. Nothing triggered it, it just appeared. And here was the best part about it. It was just me and one other guy just kiting this thing around for probably 10 minutes, and it was a challenge. It was fun, it was thrilling, and it was so spontaneous is what makes it fun. And it took advantage of one of the key things about this MMO is the combat system, the dodging, the aiming. It was fantastic. I loved that part. And while I may have come across as ranting and giving this MMO a bad rap, it really is great. The karma events suck. They are just bad. I do not like them at all. I hate them. But the dynamic events are fantastic. I love them, and I wish there were more of them. They are the best part about this game. Aside from the PvP, I did not do enough of the PvP. PvE-wise, and in what you can do in the early levels, the dynamic events are what will make this game great. And ArenaNet really should focus on making more of these, because they are fun, at least from my point of view and my opinion. Now, before I wrap this up, I got to address the problem I mentioned with the karma system and what happens, the problem it creates in higher levels. From my experience, I haven't done the math on this, nor should I say that I did everything possible. But in my experience, playing through this beta weekend, you needed to do every single karma event in order to keep up with the level progression of the zone. If you did not do every karma event and every dynamic event that you stumbled upon, you would start to fall behind progression-wise. So what that means is you are forced to do these karma events even if you do not like them. I shouldn't say you are forced to, because PvP is always an option. I just don't have enough experience in PvP to say it is an effective leveling tool. So what I can say is PvE as a leveling tool is bad because you are forced to go through a system that is repetitive and does not have a meaningful effect on the world, which is what I had been expecting from this MMO, and maybe I was wrong in expecting that. You guys can tell me. Now, I'm going to start to wrap up this video because it is getting a little bit lengthy for a feedback video anyway. And I'm just going to finish this off and say the best part about this game, the best parts for the leveling purposes, aside from PvP, I didn't do any PvP, is the story quests and the dynamic events. The karma events are just bad. They need work. They need improvement. They do not take advantage of what makes this game great. They are a very slight evolution of a traditional questing system that is very outdated. And ArenaNet really should try and fix this. They keep saying that they will release this game when it's ready. Well, then you have all the time in the world to fix this. And then again, maybe it is just my opinion and my bias and my extreme sensitivity to anything like WoW that is causing these complaints. Take it how you will. This is my opinion and my feedback for my first impressions of Guild Wars 2. This is the first time I played this game, and honestly, I had a blast playing it. I went to school the next day and said, this game was fantastic. I cannot wait to play it again. So even though the first parts of this video, and maybe the majority of it, was just me raging about the karma events, but to be perfectly honest with you, the great majority of this game is great. It's just I needed to get that out there, that there are some aspects of this game that are not perfect. There are some aspects that do need some work. And that being said, it is a beta. Beta is beta, and I think I am fulfilling my role as a beta tester in giving feedback, and constructive feedback at that, by giving an alternative solution. In my opinion, that would improve that aspect of the game. You guys can leave your thoughts and comments below, and I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, favorite, or subscribe. Now, before I cap this off, I would like to talk about something that happened mid-production of this video. I was contacted by one of my very early subscribers. He and I had been doing some back and forth likes and comments and views, and he proposed some cross-promotional ideas. And I went to his channel, viewed his stuff, and I agreed. This is my shout out to his channel. Now, with that said, I do want to issue this shout out with a little bit of a disclaimer. His videos are very much shock jock-esque. What that means is they are meant to shock people. And that's exactly what they did to me. The first video of his that I watched, my first reaction was, whoa. You need to tone this down. It's a little bit much, but after I watched his stuff, the rest of his stuff, and watched his more vlog-esque video, it dawned on me that no, these thoughts that he's putting out there are genuine. They are thoughts that a lot of people have in the spur of the moment that would not want to admit having, but they are genuine, and once you get past that first initial shock, they are amazing. They had me dying of laughter, and I really enjoyed them. I would not be shouting him out. I would not be shouting him out if I did not think this. So I hope you guys go and check out his channel. I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.